Hello everyone. As you may have heard, I am doing a lot of gardening this month, and as usual I have quite a few trays of flowers and vegetable starter plants that have come from local nurseries and even the big chain stores such as Lowe's and Home Depot, who have garden departments. Even Walmart has a decent garden department depending upon which store you go to, and they all have these little tags that tell you exactly what's in the plant and some basic directions on the back. If I wasn't making junk journals and in my craft room so often, I might be more industrious and start all of these from seed every year, which I have done a bit of in the past, but in the last couple years I have primarily cheated and bought all of my plants a couple inches to 6 inches high even, and planted them, and I keep the stakes so that I can note in my garden journals what I've planted and where I've planted them. And then of course, knowing that someday I would figure out how to make ephemera with them, and that day is now. So what I've done is come up with different ways to incorporate these plastic stakes, markers, tags that are stuck right into the dirt in 4-packs or 6-packs of the vegetables and herbs and flowers that we buy. And I thought I'd share with you what I came up with. I did look on Pinterest and Googled, and I really didn't see that anyone had done a tutorial on this. If I've missed it, and they have, I would love to see what other people have done with it, or if you've done something different with it. So please leave it in the comments below and let me know where you found it. The first thing I did was took a very basic garden stake like this, and I trimmed it right along the beveled edge there on the top and bottom. And these are really pretty sturdy plastic that this is printed on. And then I've just taken my crocodile and poked a hole in it and put a jump ring through it to make a charm or a dangle. And I don't think that you need an eyelet necessarily. I thought that it would look neat. I tried a couple different colors with them, but I'm sure that you could get away with just a hole in it, because as long as it's not too close to the edge, this is really sturdy. And you know, you could put these hanging off a page, hanging off a tag, a tassel. Might be neat to do a whole series of them and have these little, you know, clicky plastic dangles with all of the different flowers or vegetables that you've planted. So that was my first idea, to make them into little charm dangles. The next thing I did was I took, clothespins, and I did the same thing. I just trimmed it right there at the beveled, and clothespin. Here we go. And I did not with the first one. I did distress the second one that I tried it with. I always include clothespins with the full-size junk journals that I do, because they're so convenient when you're working in a junk journal, either journaling or adding your own ephemera, memories, whatever, to holding the pages open without making a crimp or a fold in it that a metal binder might have. My ink is not got its gusto. I need to re-ink my pads. They all seem to go at once, and I just used a little fab tag, which seemed to hold these on quite well. I did these a little while ago, and I mean, I'm bending and pulling pretty well, and it is not peeling off. So I think the Fabri-Tac Fabrifix, Beacon 3-in-1. I think that they're all the same, and just have different names in different places. And it's as simple as that. You could even paint these if you wanted before you put it on. But that's a neat little clip to have on your garden journal. Just a little tomato stake there. So that's another idea. I then took index cards, which I love to use, and I actually took one of the thicker, wider rather than thinner, this way, crossways, and trim it below, and then I wanted to get rid of that barcode. And I took this and just sewed it right on. You know, my regular, I think it's a number 9 needle that I have in, might be an 11. I think it's a 9. It's the one I use for everything. Regular thread, same tension, went right through these and put it on as a tuck spot. Created a little pocket there for my carrot, who is, looks like he's shaking down the scallion for something, like he has his hand out. Maybe he's pleading for something. So index cards, that worked for me as a pocket. And another idea for an index card, this is going to go in my journal because I wanted to record all of the different types of tomatoes I planted. I have a tomato habit. I plant too many. I love making homemade salsa, tomato soup. I've even canned chili. It goes on and on. I've had summers where I made over 20 gallons in quarts and pints of just tomato soup. I love tomatoes. Love growing tomatoes. Anyways, and I love trying different ones, both hybrid and heirlooms, although I prefer heirloom when I can. So anyways, I just took a piece of sari silk, and I had ironed this and then wrinkled it back or folded it back over a few times and zigzag stitched it just to hold my stakes. And that way, when I clip this inside my 2019 tomato record, I'll know exactly what kinds I got, and all the information will be right there. So I thought that was cool. The next thing I did was I took empty seed packets and made floating pockets. Floating pockets is a pocket on a page that clips on instead of being anchored, glued, stitched on. I don't know where the term originally came from. Amity Bloom, Nazi does wonderful floating pockets, and so does Tracy Fox and quite a few others. But so that's where this idea came from. And yeah, I've been planting sunflowers. And yet there's a sunflower seed that I realized was in the very corner of this. Actually, I have 3 sunflower packets of seeds that I've emptied, and I was making into pockets, one for each of the 3 garden journals I'm making. And they all had seeds in the corner yesterday. I had to go out and plant a few more. I thought I emptied them, but there was one in the bottom of this, and didn't I sew right through it? And so there's a little, anyways, these were fun and quite easy to make. What I did was I took the size of the page. I'm making 3 vegetable garden journals. So the size of the page, I think it's 5.5, a little less because it shrinks when I bake and iron it. And I took a 6x6 piece of cardstock. This came from Country, think Liz. It's the Graphic 45, Patterns and Solids for, what was this collection called? Home Sweet Home. It's right in front of me. I knew it was there. So I took a 6x6 piece and just scored it at 4.5 inches, which will fit easily onto one of my pages here. And I sewed here and here on the back. First I sewed my seed packet on, which I will do with this one, and just sew it around, or maybe on 2 sides. And then on the flip side I will sew the top and bottom of this, which is all I did here. I sewed, and then I sewed, and then I just added some tea-dyed index cards, put a little sorry, and yeah, a button, a few more cards there with a little sorry, and then just, you know, spiffed it up a little with a charm on a Tracy Fox curly paperclip. So yeah, floating pockets. So I'm going to make those with some of my empty seed packets. Thought that would be a neat thing to put in each. And then my last idea was we planted a couple of small, this is from last year, Alberta spruces in the beds out front. It's hard to find small shrubs that won't grow. We need to be able to seal the logs with this stuff that keeps them from drying out, keeps the bees from making homes. The carpenter bees like to chew into it, and you know, just protects it from the UV deterioration, because there is a far cry from almost every kind of siding and honest to goodness wood log cabins. So anyways, this was a perfect shrub because they only get so big and they're pretty. I love spruces, and I always keep the tags. It already had a hole in it, so I just took a little piece of green sorry, and then I took another tag and just sewed a begonia, one of these cut off, and I always plant begonias in front of the little spruces in the bed, so I thought that was appropriate. And then it has all the information here on that. So these are my ideas on what to do with those empty seed packets and the little stakes. And I'm really glad that I'm obsessive enough to save these. I knew they were colorful and they were fun, and I knew that I would end up using them eventually, and now I can start incorporating them into my garden journals. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I'll be back with another share soon. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.